Listeners, get ready for another AI update with my special guest and dear friend, Pavan Agarwal. Pavan, good to have you back.
Oh, so much fun.
I appreciate you introducing me to Jennifer. You admire her, you always promote her and lift her up so high, and there's good reason for that. She is amazing. And we had her as a guest, and she brought out a good example of how Angel AI is trumping Gemini.
Yes. Yeah, and we're not just picking on Gemini. These general purpose solutions, those general purpose architectures can never deliver the accuracy.
And why is that, Pavan? I think we talked about that, and she gave a great example of that when she was talking, and we literally did a screen sharing. I loved having Jennifer on. Got to have her back. Thank you so much for opening the door for that to happen. But why is it that is happening? Because Gemini is supposed to be the end-all, be-all kind of thing.
Well, no, it's not end-all, be-all. It is a great tool, but you got to use the right
maybe
tool.
I should characterize it as a great tool. Okay, maybe I went a little too far. But you talk to some people, and they think it's the end-all, be-all, and that is a mistake, and that's what we're trying to bring out.
Yeah, there's a difference between hype and reality, right?
Yeah.
And the hype is that it's the end-all, be-all, but the reality is that it's amazing. All of these systems have propelled humanity forward by a huge leap forward, and we're doing things that we never thought was possible before.
Well, let's go into this example you sent me right now, because you just showed an example of someone who was asking a question. Can you use something other than FICO for FHA loans?
Yeah.
And talk about that example you sent over to me.
Let me bring it up. Let me read it exactly. The question is, can I use the Vantage score?
Vantage score, yeah.
Yeah, the Vantage score. This is a new Vantage score approved by the FHFA with FHA financing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Gemini said what?
Gemini said, yes, you can. Right.
And Angel AI accurately said,
no, you can't, because FHFA is not the same as FHA, right?
Yeah. Now, see, there's
I
an
think
example.
I think that's where it tripped up, because right, FHFA is a regulator for Freddie and Fannie.
Yes.
Okay, and they permitted Freddie and Fannie to use the Vantage score, which is super. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we need more options, and we need new capabilities in the industry all the time. I love that, but HUD has not. Right. So you have to use the right tool for the right job. So Angel AI is deterministic. Right. It's not generative.
We talked about that, deterministic, with Jennifer. That is really good. So, again, explain to our audience that may not caught that interview, what is deterministic?
Yeah. So, deterministic, it basically everything you put into it, every question you ask, or every fact you give it, it tears it apart word by word, and then it ties those words back to larger concepts. So it builds this internal mental map of what it is that you're asking, and it has to precisely tie, this FHA means HUD, which means 3.5% down payment loans, and so on, and its total scorecard is not DULP, and so on, right? So it creates just that one word, FHA. It creates this huge map in its head, all these vectors that connect all together and say, okay, this is what it really is. Okay, and then it does that for every single word. Okay, and then from there, as it makes this vector map, it then says, from this vector map, it says, what are the concepts? Okay, and so it goes from the words to a vector map to a concept, and then from the concept, then it says, okay, this is what I need to do. And then it goes back the other way to get you the answer.
Very good. Okay. That's a good explanation, a little more detailed than someone may want to remember, but it does give us the importance of the distinction. Versus, now, that's a vector map. It gets a determinate answer. Now, used in contrast to what ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these other language models, LLMs, are using.
Right. And so what they do is they look at the pattern of what the input is. It could be a pattern of words. It could be a pattern of pixels of an image, right? It could be a pattern of anything, right? Whatever it's trained on. It looks at the pattern, and it says, what is most likely the next word or the next dot or whatever the next whatever I should generate based on this current pattern. So it takes a look at your current pattern of words and goes and finds in its database the closest matching pattern, and then from there it'll guess the next word. That's a hypersimplification, but that's basically what it's doing. Whereas when it's deterministic, it has to take a look, it has to go figure out what the concepts are, and then it has to conclude, it has to distill that down to a single absolute answer. It cannot guess at the answer. It has to be able to figure out what is the answer, and it has to be able to explain why it concluded to that answer.
So the conclusion and the moral of this part of our interview today is, Gemini, it's not that it's bad, but it's not best when making something, a determination like on an FHA using FICO versus a Vantage score.
Yes, correct. You have to precisely conclude to an answer in this business. Right?
Yeah.
You can't guess at an answer. If the AI concludes, I could say 3 possible things, and I don't know which one is right, it's going to say I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where the augmented intelligence comes in. And then it's going to loop in a human automatically. It all happens behind the scenes. And it happens like in seconds. It's amazing how this thing works. And a human helps it along and says, yeah, it's the answer is number 1. And every time the human helps it along, now it's learned. So the next time it's got a higher weight on number 1.
Yep.
Right.
Which is what AngelAi uses. That's the human factor. And that's why the human factor, a lot of people say that's not fully AI, it's human factor. Yes, you want human factor in these things for the very reason we just exampled.
Yeah.
Another thing you just sent me, which is really interesting, is the Facebook interview by ex-Google CEO Eric Schmidt. He's talking about user interfaces going away.
Yes.
Talk about that. That was really interesting.
I've been talking about that for, since 2019. Since we first rolled out AngelAi, because it he's talking about it now because what they call agentic AI, which is AI agents,
right,
is now hitting sort of mainstream thought, right? This is stuff that we
agentic is an agent,
agent, right? Not angelic, agentic.
Agentic, yes.
Agentic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had already, our researchers had already developed this concept, and we call them cells. That's why the company is called Celligence, cellular intelligence. Okay, so we came up with the concept and came up with the technology back in 2019 that you can have cells basically AI activated cells and AI driven cells that perform different tasks for you as a human would perform. So instead of you doing it, you have a cell do it, which is basically what AI agent is, that it is a little AI program that does something for you instead of you doing it yourself.
Right.
And what we concluded, 6 years ago now, that if you take millions of these and combine them together, right, each one doing a little tiny thing, really, really small thing, just like the cells in your body, each cell does a little tiny thing, but combined together, right, all those cells combine together and creates the beautiful David Lincoln that we see here in front of us.
The old man Lincoln, whatever he is. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's really, really interesting stuff. But why are the user interfaces going away?
Okay, well, then when we saw that, hey, you can have cells doing everything for you, right? Whether it's sending an email or calculating income on a loan or whatever it is, then why do you need a user interface? You just speak to your computer, and you say, do this. That's
the point. Yeah.
Right. And then you could say, do that and do this, and let the cell do it for you. Right. Where is the user interface? It's just does your personal assistant, who does lots of work for you, a big high value task. What's the user interface to your personal assistant? You speak to him or her.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same idea. Your computer is now your complete, total personal assistant. You speak to it, right? And you just give it commands, and it will do that command, right? And that's why in AngelAi we have a concept called errands, right? Because you ask the AI to run an errand for you, right? It is your servant. It runs an errand and completes it, and you give it another errand. It's like an errand boy or errand girl, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it when you start looking at it in that context, it's really amazing how these cells. And I had forgotten that's why you named your company Celligence,
Exactly. Exactly.
which I'm just going to put a side note in there, which has been valued in the multiple billions and billions of dollars. It's congratulations on the valuation of what you've accomplished. And a lot of people start looking at how do they solve these things. And it's, I mean, they're accurate in that they're just using little pieces here, trying to bolt it together. But you've been doing this for over 21 years, and that's why you have something that is as powerful as you do.
Yeah, well, it's the time and also the engineering, right? To our researchers, like, people will think that, okay, so you were ahead, 6 years ago, and now the industry is catching up. So too bad. I said no, because our researchers are, you haven't seen what we got in the lab. We're ahead, 10 years from now, right?
Wow.
Right. There's stuff we have, and we don't publish it because why would we let all our trade secrets out?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's so much in the lab, and that.
So there's more to come.
Yes, a lot more to come. A lot more to come. And one of the things that I'll talk about now that is about to come out is a predictive conversation. So,
what do you mean by a predictive conversation?
So,
it's listening and being able to anticipate where you're going with that.
Right. It's very
reading your mind.
Very human-like. Okay. So if I say, David, I'm thinking of buying a home, but I don't have a whole lot of down payment, right? Then you would automatically go to the next question would be, are you a veteran? Okay. Or maybe if he gave some information, maybe he said that, hey, I come from a military family, I'm thinking of buying a home. Most likely then he's a veteran.
Yeah.
Right. And so the AI would piece all those little bits of information he got from the conversation and said, you're probably a veteran. So number one, thank you for your service. Number two, have you considered a VA loan, which you don't need any down payment?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's predictive, right? That means it'll predict what it should ask you based on the information it has. Whenever you take a loan application with any other platform, is regimented. You ask this question, you ask this question, you ask this question. Okay, and it isn't user driven. It is the computer driven. The computer tells you have to follow its box. Okay, so we switched the paradigm around where it's you are in charge. You tell me what's going on in your life. Tell me what you really want. I always remember, David, what you taught me is that when you were a loan officer, the first question you used to ask every single client is, tell me what you hope to achieve from this transaction.
Exactly right. What's your why? Why are we doing this? Exactly right.
Exactly.
That's good. You remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It anchored it in. Once you get that anchored in, probability for success goes up exponentially.
Exactly. And that's the whole idea of the AI. AI is going to start from your why. What are you doing this for? What do you hope to achieve? And then it will ask you the right questions, right?
Which goes back to the deterministic nature of what you're doing, which gets really exciting.
This is predictive now.
Predictive versus deterministic. Contrast those for us.
Okay, deterministic means there could only be one.
Okay.
It could only be one answer.
One conclusion.
Yeah, 2 plus 2 can only be 4. Okay. Predictive means that we're going to be talking about AI today in this podcast. You sent me a text saying, hey, let's do another podcast. Then I assume we're going to be talking about AI.
Yes. So it reads into it and
right.
It gives,
That's predictive. So that means if I was the AI, right, you send me a text saying, hey, let's do a podcast today. And if I was the AI, I'm going to predict, hey, David probably wants to talk about AI. And I would respond with, oh, I just saw this great thing from Eric Schmidt, founder of Google, talking about the same things that we were talking about years ago. Right? Yeah. So so predictively, I'm assuming you want to do a podcast about AI,
right?
And I respond to you with a suggestion of what we can do the podcast. See, that's very human-like.
So when you come to underwriting, we want to be very deterministic. Right. When you're in a relationship with a loan officer, you want it to be very
predictive. Right, predictive.
So predictive of suggesting, and that's a really good distinction.
So that way you can help guide. That makes the user more comfortable. You can guide him towards a good answer, right? If you keep
So
them,
how do you then shift between the two, predictive versus deterministic,
well,
when you're in the transaction, when
well,
you're actually when AngelAi is actually working? What part is working, and how do you begin to make that happen?
it's really simple. If the user is asking for information,
Simple. I'm jokingly thinking simple for you, yeah, but not for us mere
well,
mortals.
I'll put it this way: the explanation is simple, right?
Okay.
If you ask the computer for an explanation or for information, it better give you exactly right. That's
Right.
deterministic,
Yep.
right? Now, when the computer asks you for information, that's predictive. The computer has to ask you a meaningful question, an applicable question,
So, okay. It's
right?
an important distinction. I want to
Yeah.
get into that more, but I'm trying to keep these AI updates down to a shorter segment.
Okay.
So you recently spoke at NAREP. I was really excited about it. I read over your presentation. It looked like you crushed it there. Why did you get asked to speak at NAREP, and what was the takeaway that you walked away from that?
Yeah, so that relationship started at the U.S. Strategy Conference we did in D.C. in July.
Yeah. Gary was there.
Yeah, so Gary was there, and I interviewed him, and we started talking, and he met a lot of my friends and business partners. He met a lot of people in the key people, top people, leaders in crypto and AI space at that. And he's been thinking for a while of how do I expand NARAP into crypto and AI, and he had been reaching out and looking for speakers, and he wasn't having any luck. And then after we met, and he saw the talent that was in that room, so he asked us to put that together. So we were invited by him to put together the crypto AI track for NAREP, and we pulled in some of the greatest minds across the world for the NAREP conference. And nice people. I know them well, and they did it as a favor. Like, for example, Lauren, who runs an organization called UTXO, right? They're the largest Bitcoin association,
Okay.
and
Okay.
their conferences have 50,000 people at a time.
Wow.
Okay, and so he's used to speaking to 50,000 people.
Wow.
Okay, and he agreed to do this small conference with a few thousand people.
Oh, you were able to get him to
session.
come in and speak.
Right.
Wow.
Yes, and it's because of the relationship. Business is always about relationship.
Yep.
Right. So these are the level of people we brought to the conference, and then of course Gary has made his own twin, and he's got his twin up and running in AngelAi, and we also created the NARAP AngelAi version, where if you go into askangel.ai/advance, which is what their NARAP app is called, Avance, AVANCE.
All right.
Okay, so if you go in there, and you'll see Gary's twin will come and talk to you, and and you can start doing various things with it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, so that's kind of how it all started, and then so these wonderful speakers came. They were so generous with the time. They came and they spoke. We also had Kyle, and Kyle Wiley. He's amazing. He was in Trump administration #1, senior guy at the Department of Energy. Now he runs the ServiceNow, which is a massive $15-30 billion, something like that, organization, and he's probably going to be appointed to the FTC on their crypto head of the crypto committee, the Trump 2.0. And so he was just an incredible wealth of knowledge. I mean, when you have a conversation with him, you can peel the onion as deep as you want, and he can answer everything.
Wow.
And he's open-hearted, and doesn't hold back information. Whatever you ask him, he'll tell you.
That's one thing I'm finding with the crowd that you run with. There, you draw people in, or you attract people that around you that are very much about giving. We just did a podcast with Don Healy. I love that story and how you are partnering with him. And that's a whole nother side of the industry. It's really working almost at the microfinance. It's almost working at the artisans, bringing the people that are doing the small little tasks off in some obscure country and bringing them to market through what you're doing with Havana. That's very exciting.
So what he said was, you don't need a user interface anymore, because his literal words were, you can say, hey AI, make me a user interface with all the whatever buttons I need to solve this problem. Okay, and the AI would generate that user interface for you. But I think he missed the mark slightly on that. Right. You don't tell the AI to generate a user interface so then you can use the user interface. You just tell the AI, right? That's kind of silly, right? You just tell the AI, just do it. Just bleep and do it for me, right? You don't need to tell the AI to make the user interface so that then you can press a button on the user interface to do the task, right? That's kind of silly, right? So the whole concept, the whole principle of AngelAi is you just tell her, just do it, whatever it is that you want done, and she's just going to do it, right?
Yeah, very fascinating.
Right. So there's no need for buttons or user interfaces anymore. You just explain what you want and say and then
simple plain English.
Right, simple plain English. You'll go and run and do it, just like you would tell your assistant, right?
Yeah.
If a personal assistant, you would tell that person the same thing.
Yep. It's fairly fascinating. I think the old saying, a lot of people still have the fear that AI is going to eliminate their job. No, what's going to eliminate your job is someone using AI or using it better than you do. That's why we're doing these AI updates, Pavan. So good to have you on. I look forward to doing another one. And kudos to you on the success that you're having. How many users are you adding a month right now? I mean, you've been doing this month over month.
Yeah. I mean, it's 15,000 plus users a month. We've crossed 250,000 now, and it just keeps on growing. And again, no media.
That's without any media. It's just word of mouth.
It's just word of mouth. And attending some conferences and some e-blasting.
Yeah,
our marketing budget is like nothing.
I'm telling my clients, you better get up on AngelAi. If you don't choose to use it, that's your own business, but your loan officer is bad. But here's going to be a real embarrassment. When a realtor is using AngelAi, is getting more accurate answers to underwriting questions than your loan officer is giving or your underwriter is giving, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a big problem for you. So get used to it. More and more people are signing up for it, and they're going, this is amazing.
Yeah, and what I found at NARAP was because a lot of brokerages were there, big and small, right?
Yeah.
And, like some of them are considering building their own AI until they saw what Angel did. Like, you already do everything. Okay. And so they're like, well, should I build my own AI? And I said, well, you can. Okay. You're going to spend a lot of money. It's going to take you a long time to catch up. But the other problem is that your agents won't appreciate it. Okay. The reason they won't appreciate it is because they have an option like AngelAi already for them, which is theirs. Is their personal AngelAi is your personal AI. Okay, so that means if you're a realtor and you move from, say, LPT to Epic or to Century 21 to Remax, right? Your AngelAi, your personal AI stays with you everywhere you go, and all the content it generates with you stays yours. All the listing sites, all the web pages, everything that you've trained the AI on to do for you as your agent stays yours. And all of your training that you give AngelAi is you own and is in your wallet. Okay, because we create a vault for you, and your personal training goes in that vault, and only you have the keys to it because it's your blockchain wallet keys.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, so the problem is you're going to be if you're trying to build your own AI, you have to convince your agents to use yours versus something that will be theirs.
Right. Very good. We could go on and on. I want to pick up where you were just going in our next AI update. So listeners, be prepared for next AI update. We're going to pick up right there. We're just going to continue to bring you knowledge each and every week. Pavan, thank you so much for being here.